I love the 90s. 90s gaming is absolutely brilliant, and that's where I started my gaming adventures. You had the battle between Sega and Nintendo, and Megadrive and the SNES, and then you also had the move from 2D to 3D when you got your later 32-bit and 64-bit consoles in your PlayStation, your N64 and your Sega Saturn. It was a great time for gaming, and it sort of shaped where we're up to now in the future of gaming. So I'm a bit of a game collector and I like to collect some of those retro games from the 90s physically, but it can be a very expensive hobby and you just tend to sometimes get loads of random games that you probably don't really want. So I've tried to combat this by thinking about what games, if I could only have a few sort of games from that console, would I pick? And I've come up with a list with 25 for each console. Now the one I'm going to look at you today is about the Sega Megadrive because that was my first console and it's the one I've actually got quite a few games for already. So I'm just going to start going through some of those games I've already got on my 25 for you today. So grab yourself a brew as I bring some retro gaming to you as Slot It In There presents 25 and Out for the Sega Megadrive. So, as I mentioned, I've already got quite a few of these games, so I probably won't do them in one video because I don't want the videos to be too long. So I'll just show you a few of you now, and then I'll probably have a part 2 coming very shortly. Okay, all these games are going to be bots, that's what I'm going to try and get with the manuals and everything, except for the first game. I'm going to break that rule straight away. I've only got the cartridge for this one, but it's one I really wanted to get back into my collection, and it's quite hard, and it's getting a bit expensive now to get it all boxed and nice, so I will find a nice box one in the future, but I'm going to count it as it in my collection for now, just in case I don't. And that game is Universal Soldier. Now, I was a big Van Damme fan back in the early 90s and I watched lots of his films at the time, and he was very popular in the box office, and he starred in this film called Universal Soldier. So when I managed to pick up this game, I think it was at BY's, one of those cheap stores that are no longer available in the UK. It was about a tenner. I picked it up. I was well happy and well chuffed to get it. Doesn't really follow the plot of the film at all, surprisingly, as most movie tie-ins then, and the particular reason for this one is actually it's a reskin of Turrican 2. So if you've ever played Turrican 2 on another system, you'll actually think this is very similar looking at this footage now. The only thing is they've just reskinned it to look like the Universal Soldier, and a few of the baddies have been reskinned as well. But as you're playing this, you're like, as a movie tie-in, you're like, this makes no sense. And now that we've learned that in the future of why, because it's just a reskin of a sort of popular game, then you understand. However, if you have played Turrican 2, I would recommend going back to play Universal Soldier because it does have a couple of different levels and obviously looks a bit different because some of the baddies have been reskinned for you. So it's worth a look if you really enjoyed Turrican 2 on another system. What I really liked about this game, well, it's just great. You can just a little platformer, you can shoot, you get loads of different guns, there's loads of different areas to explore, and you can turn into a little roll up little ball and like get into little hidden areas. And I played this game to death at the time because you don't have a lot of games when you're growing up anyway because you don't really have the money to do it, so you do just invest a lot of time into it. But I really enjoyed just going around levels and finding every nook and cranny and exploring all the different little areas because there's loads to explore in it. So it was very good value for money because there was loads of things to explore, and I really enjoyed playing it lots at the time. And like I say, actually it's actually a pretty good game because it's a reskin, sequel to a very good game initially, Turrican, on the system. So it's one worth picking up now, and it is a quite enjoyable one to play even now. So the next game on the list is the first game that I got with my system when I picked it up, and it's the amazing Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Now, I think this game's absolutely amazing because, like I say, it's the one I got with it, and it was a game I only had for a few months, as you usually are, like say, waiting for your birthday or Christmas to get a game. So I played it to death, but it's absolutely brilliant because your mates could come over. You know, there's 2-player on it. The 2-player levels are absolutely cool. Or you could play the main story. Someone could be Tails, as long as they stayed on the screen, they could play with you. So that was quite cool multiplayer-wise for your mates to play. But also, you could pick to be Tails solo on yourself, or do it with Sonic on his own solo, because sometimes when you had Tails with you, he was a bit annoying, wasn't he? Hit the wrong things or lost you some coins. But yeah, this was a really cool game. It was what a sequel needs to be compared to first Sonic, because it was a lot bigger, a lot brighter. You could explore the levels, I felt, a bit more. It seemed a lot faster, and obviously you had that great multiplayer element that you didn't have in the first one. So it's absolutely brilliant one. Some people argue it's probably the best of Sonic games. You know, some people say Sonic 3 are the first original trilogy, but Sonic 2, well, it's got a soft spot on my heart, and like I say, it's probably the best I feel at the moment anyway, because I played it the most and literally lived with that game for like months when I first got it. So it's got a great little spot in my heart for that. So the next game, I can't really talk about Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on the Mega Drive without talking about Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, like I say, I played Sonic 2 loads, and I didn't really play Sonic the Hedgehog a lot at the time. I played the odd level because people had it at their house, so I'd play a little bit, so you just sort of played the start of a game a few times in the first couple of levels. So it's only really when I was a bit older I sort of sat down and played most of the way through. So it's an absolute classic for the Mega Drive that you should have if you're thinking of collecting for that system, because it's just the classic game that obviously showed off a system. It was so fast at the time. It looked brilliant with all the colours and 16-bit. The sound was amazing. It was like a console seller literally at the time when it was Sonic the Hedgehog, and that's why it became a mascot for Sega, because it was so good. So it's well worth having in your collection just for that, even if you don't want to play it. But it's a great game to play, don't get me wrong, and it's a bit trickier and harder than Sonic 2, I feel, some places as well, so there's a bit more challenge to it. But it is a lovely little platform game that you can play nowadays and everybody can enjoy, even the kiddies. You know, it doesn't have to be as older people looking back from our childhood. Some kids can pick it up now and enjoy it and play on their mobile phones even. So it is a classic game to play, and yeah, it's definitely one you just need in your collection, because like I say, it's the main game that you associate with Sega, isn't it? Sonic the Hedgehog, especially on the Mega Drive. So the next game I've got in my collection, I didn't actually play at the time when it came out. I just read about it in magazines and I was like, this looks amazing. I really want this game. But like I say, you can't afford to buy a lot of games at the time. You're a bit limited. So it's one that I really wanted to get when I started collecting, and that is Flashback. Now, Flashback is from the same company that did Another World, which was an absolutely amazing cinematic sort of game to play. I did play a bit at a time, but obviously you got stuck on because it's a puzzle game. But I do love Another World as well. And yeah, Flashback was a sequel to that, so it looks very cinematic, very stylized, and it's that look that's amazing. I mean, it's a bit of a puzzle game. It's quite hard. I haven't actually completed it yet, but I do keep going back to it. That's the trick on this one. I keep going back because I do want to complete it. Thankfully, it has a password sort of save system on this one, so you don't have to start all the way from the start, because it's a quite long game. And like I say, the puzzles are a bit ruthless in places. If you just die, you're like, oh, gotta go all the way back, you know, to do that, as you had to do in old retro games. But yeah, it's an absolute classic. If you for some reason haven't played it, but you've played Another World, obviously this is a natural progression to do that. And if you played Flashback, I'd go back and play Another World, to be honest, because that's absolutely amazing as well. It's obviously still a classic now because you can buy it on most systems. You can get it on your Xbox and your PlayStation, or your Switch. You know, it's been re-put out there if you want to get it on a new console. It's not too expensive to get to put in the collection if you want to get one as well. But yeah, I just wanted the original hardware, because you do. And like I say, it's one of them games that I look at in magazines at the time, and you see clips of it and you go, that looks absolutely amazing. And having played Another World before that, parts of that I was like, I really want to play Flashback, but never got it. So that's why it's in my collection now. Now, another game I'm quite shocked at the moment, quite a lot of people don't seem to know about. Some people don't know about this game, which is a bit weird or a bit fine. You can find it on most systems. It's had a bit of a resurgence in the past few years, I feel, as well, so it's not too much of a shock. But that's Earthworm Jim. Now, when this game came out, it was sort of everywhere because it's so goofy and so wacky. If you're into your sort of comedy, sort of Monty Python, off the wall, just a bit crazy, you want a bit of Earthworm Jim. For starters, you're an earthworm in a spacesuit. You're going around shooting stuff, using your head as a whip to kill baddies. What more could you like? It's got wacky elements in there. You can like catapult cows. You know, you've got crows that are attacking you. I think the main bad guy, isn't it, a little cat feline getting you? You race on hamsters, or you play on hamsters, and you're chasing scarecrows in spacesuits in outer space. It's all pretty out there. It's got some very funny sort of set pieces in there because it's all a bit wacky as well. It's quite hard in places, if I remember. It's not as hard as the second one. I think the second one was a lot harder. But this one is an absolute classic. Again, I played Steph. I was really happy when I got it originally because it was quite an expensive game, and I think I was lucky to get it in the sales at the time, not too long after it'd been out. So again, I played Steph. I have completed it back in the day. Nowadays I've started playing it because I think I got it on my Xbox. I'm like, yeah, Earthworm Jim. Like, God, this is pretty hard in some places and quite frustrating. Can be, but that's what good old games are like, aren't they? But yeah, as a platformer, it's brilliant to play. It's got a lot of humour in it, and the colour, it's just a lovely game to look at. Again, just look brilliant, and just the action, the way it flows. There's nothing really bad I can say about it, apart from some of the puzzles are a bit frustrating in places. But as a game as a whole, it's brilliant. And yeah, I definitely wanted it back in my collection at the time because it was huge in the 90s when it came out. It was a really sort of big game. But I have felt it has sort of petered off a bit, like I say. Not a lot of people sort of know about it. So if you've not come across Earthworm Jim, go out and have a little play in it. Like say you can get it on your Xbox, your PlayStation and your Switch. Have a little look at it. And the final game I'm going to talk to you about in this video, so I don't go on for too long, doesn't go on for too long this one, is a sort of shoot 'em up game. But I wouldn't really get it. I'm not really into shoot 'em ups. But I found this one, again, it was in BY's, one of those cheap stores, and I saved up my pocket money, so it's about £10, and it looked good from the cover art. And I thought, this looks pretty cool. I like the concept behind it. And that one is, if I can pronounce it properly, is Gnog or Gynog. I think it's Gynog it's pronounced. I think it's called Wings of War in America, which makes your life a lot easier, but we got that name. But anyway, yeah, it's a little shoot 'em up. You're sort of like an angel going through the depths of hell or something. I don't know if you're off to rescue someone. I can't remember. But that's the basic premise. So you're obviously fighting against sort of these sort of demon characters and baddies and shooting them. So it looks absolutely stunning. I really like the way it looks for a shoot 'em up as well. It's got great mechanics because you can pick up different power-ups, but also you can combine those power-ups to make different power-ups as well, if I recall. So there's lots of different play styles to it. And it keeps it quite fresh, and because you'll have to do the runs over and over. It's only got about 5 levels in the whole game, and they're just sort of rock hard, so you'll be working on a level for a long time until you find out, in the classic way, isn't it, where's the best place you can hide on the screen against the boss, or you know, the trick to defeating them and all that lot. So it's one you'll grind away at, but really enjoyable. I believe I completed it back in the day. I know I definitely got to the last level, which was rock hard, but I can't actually recall if I did complete it or not, so maybe I didn't. But again, I enjoy it now. It's one of them I like diving back into and playing, and like I say, because I didn't have a lot of games at the time, isn't it, it's one of them I have fond memories of because I put a lot of hours into it at the time, even though it was a shooting up, not really my style of game because I'm not very good at them, that's why I probably can't play it now. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and like I say, as a shoot 'em up, it's a bit out there, it's a bit different. It has had a bit of a resurgence recently. You can get it on the PlayStation and the Switch, I know, if you want to get it. And I also mentioned it in my £5 and under video, if you go back and watch that, as a cheeky one to get, because it is a really good game. So if you're into shoot 'em ups, I'd recommend getting it, but I'd recommend getting it in your Mega Drive collection if you want as well, because I don't think it's too expensive as a Mega Drive game to get physically boxed now as well. So that's the start of my 25 and out collection, and let's have a look at my list. Let's reveal the games I've shown you. And as you can see, they're in no particular order. They're a bit all over the place and all that lot. So write down in the comments down below whether you like any of these games. Have you played them? Did you have them? Do you have them now? Or have I just sparked a bit of interest with showing you some of these gaming clips about them that you may go off and get one? Let me know in your thoughts down below, because it's an interaction between you and me that makes YouTube very special. Like I say, part 2 will be coming out very shortly, where I show you a few more of the 25 games I've got for the Mega Drive already. But until next time, bye bye.